Hey guys, Retro Dude here. Thanks for visiting my channel again where we check out all things retro. I mainly focus on video games because I love them so much, but I do check out anime, cartoons, movies, toys, basically anything retro. I like taking a look at it. Dude, guess which game just got a remaster? Go ahead, guess. Actraiser. Now, for those of you that don't know what Actraiser is or what I'm even talking about or why I'm even excited, let me give you a little bit of a rundown of what Actraiser is. This was a Super Nintendo game released in 1990. Here in the States, it was on like in 93 that it was released. This game was pretty close to being a launch title. It wasn't exactly a launch title. I think it was like less than a year after the Super Nintendo was released. So it was pretty close to being one of those games that showcased what the new generation could do. So right off the bat, what I can tell you that I really enjoyed about this game was that I had two different genres rolled into one. And I'm a sucker for that. It's like we got two games for the price of one. I'm always up for a good deal. So one of the portions plays out like a platformer, pretty much in the vein of Castlevania, except you're carrying a sword. So I would probably say more like Rostan style. Rostan is an old arcade game. And a sim builder where you take the role of God, where you help civilization expand and thrive. You never really play as God. On the overworld or the sim builder parts of it, you use an angel. And in the underworld or the platformer side, you use an animated statue. In the sim builder portion, the game plays overhead, where you guide the population of the settlements to grow. For that, you actually use pretty cool powers or miracles like they call them. For example, you use thunderstorms to burn down obstacles, earthquakes, sunlight, wind. I had a ton of fun playing these segments. It also had a very soothing song while you were in the overworld. It was relaxing. I liked it. In the platform portions, you had two different stages. When you first got to the new section, you would go to the underworld, animate the statue, and clear out monsters and open up a path for population to actually be able to exist in that section. And you would play it towards the end once the population had reached pretty close to its peak with a boss fight at the end of the stage as well. While in these stages, the music actually shifted to accommodate for the action. The soundtrack actually has some nice treasures in it. I especially love the first stage. It has like an orchestra type style to it, which I really enjoyed. The story actually is pretty cleverly thought out. Like I said, you take on the role of God or master like they call it here in the States, and you sort of explore how civilization, as it grows and needs you less and less, they start praying to you less and less. So they come to you only in their times of need. So I thought it was pretty clever and I liked it. Because of the religious tone of the game, it was censored here in the States where I played it. I guess they have rules against offending these religious entities, so they changed a couple of things. Instead of being a skull where you were looking at the dungeons for the enemies, you just saw a Star of David. And like I mentioned earlier, instead of calling you God, they call you Master. It was really nothing game changing. The soundtrack was great in this game. It was actually awarded Best Music of the Year in 1993 by EGM magazine, which was pretty much the best video game magazine at that time. It actually got a sequel, but for the sake of this video, we'll just pretend it didn't. I didn't like it that much, to be honest with you. I really enjoyed playing this game, and you can imagine how excited I was when I heard that they were going to release a remaster for it. The remaster of it is called Actraiser Renaissance. Graphically, it did get a fresh coat of paint, though nothing really stood out for me. So I'll put as an example, I did take a look at Dragon's Trap, and that was really well done. I really enjoyed the colors. The color palette just popped out of that game. Though to be fair, I'm comparing a 16-bit to current generation to an 8-bit game to current generation. All in all, it's not like it was crappy, the graphics or anything. It doesn't really take anything away from it. Just in my personal opinion, I could take it or leave it. Musically, the remastered actually does do a very good job at it. I actually enjoyed the remastered score a little bit more than I did the original one, which is a pretty big step for me because I'm a purist and I like the old generation music to it. So this one actually I found myself playing the game in the new remastered music. As a matter of fact, I have a couple of those songs in my music playlist and I might have to update them. Something really exciting though that I absolutely love when they do it on the remasters, you can play through the game in the original soundtrack. I love that. I just wish they had given us a digital download of the soundtrack so I could get those songs into my playlist a lot sooner. Gameplay wise, you'll be happy to know that they retained most of the core gameplay that the original game actually had. They did add a few elements and I'm a bit torn on a few of those. So let's dive in and let's check them out. So in the original, when you would direct the population to raid one of the demon's bomb points, they would go in there and just take it out. On the new remaster version, they go in there and they can't seal it quite by themselves. So it takes you to go in there and destroy what's like a spawn orb or something. This is one of the segments when I'm actually torn because it just seemed like it was tacked on. It didn't really add much to the game. It felt repetitive and it seemed unnecessary, to be honest. It was too short to be of any fun, though later on you actually do fight bosses in these segments, so it got a little bit better, but still I just think it was tacked on just to make the game a little bit longer than, and that's how I personally feel about it. Combat on the platform levels was actually a bit retooled. You now have a backstep where you're invincible while you're actually doing the backstep, and you have a dash forward, like you swing the sword 3 times and the last one you dash forward, which you're also invincible on that. Nothing major, and I guess it serves to make the game a little bit easier. Another element that they added was a strategy portion, or like a tower defense segment. This section I welcome with open arms. Now we have 3 games in one, not just 2. To be honest, it's not fully ironed out. It felt like I was playing the Final Fantasy VII Shinra Defense minigame, if you've ever played the Final Fantasy VII original, not the remake. Another addition is the heroes. So as you're building a settlement, a hero appears to help you build this population up, and it helps you in those monster raids. This is also a very nice addition to the game. It even seems like it was part of the original. It was very well implemented into the story. The story is told through the conversation you have with the characters. And there being more characters, there's actually more story to be told. Sometimes it felt like the angel calling out to you was interrupting the flow of the game. This is another section when I'm a bit torn on it because, like I said, the angel keeps interrupting the flow of the game. It could get kind of annoying. On the other hand, the game added a bit more meat to that bone, so the story seems a little bit more fleshed out than it was in the original. The game's available pretty much anywhere on Switch, PS4, Steam, which is where I played it, iPhone and Android devices, on the Samsung smart fridge, and on Tesla cars. Not really on the last 2. Xbox seems to be a little bit late to the party. It didn't get a port or anything. But as I'm making this video, it's not currently available for Xbox. It goes for around 20 bucks. If you haven't played the original, at that price, I can recommend this gem from the early 90s. Some additions were a bit hit and miss for me, but overall, a very solid remaster in my humble opinion. And if you have played the original, the remaster of the music and the added tower defense elements to it is worth a second look, especially if you're like me and you haven't played the game in a long time. I'm happy to report that this remaster gets a total recommendation from me. That's it for today. Remember, leave me with a like, hit me with a thumbs up. If there's a game you would like me to revisit, just put it in the comments. Thanks for visiting me again, and as always, stay retro.